Hey Weasleys, this is Emily and you are watching The Burrow. When I was about 16 or so, I saw Finding Nemo in the theaters for the first time, and I was so amazed by how beautiful the movie was that I just felt like I really have to do that. From then on, my goal was to work in feature animation, and I really wanted to work at Pixar. And a few years ago, I actually had this experience where I went to a big animation conference called CTN Expo in Burbank, California. That experience completely changed everything I had been aiming for and everything I had thought about the industry up until that point. I had gone to CTN and I had gotten my portfolio reviewed by Disney and Leica and a few other companies, hoping that I would find out how I could get into a company like Disney or Pixar. I really wanted to know what I needed to work on and what kind of portfolio they were looking for. What I came away from with that experience was actually the exact opposite. I observed a lot of the other people who were getting portfolio reviews there and people who were showing off their work, and I saw that I was nothing like them and the work I did was nothing like what they were doing. And I also thought that a lot of the students coming out of California were all doing the exact same thing. And then I started thinking, if I'm not like these students, if I'm not on the level of them yet, why am I trying to pursue this type of art where they just want everyone to conform and do the same type of work? I mean, you guys have probably, if you're watching this, you have seen Tangled and you have seen Frozen, and both of those movies were criticized for being very alike with the character designs, and that is because companies like Disney get stuck in a rut where they want everything to be the certain way because they know that it sells. I started to realize that that wasn't the type of creative expression that I wanted to aim for anymore. It was really sad at the time for me, and it took a long time for me to kind of mentally work through this idea that I wasn't aiming for that dream anymore. I was approaching my mid-20s at the time, and to kind of shift my focus at that time in my career was kind of a big deal, but it also, once I had worked through kind of the sadness of that time, I felt so much better. I felt so released from this pressure of trying to live up to this thing I had held up on a pedestal since I was in my early teens. So eventually, working through that, I realized that what I really wanted deep down was to just be my own boss, to make my own stories, and that all along was what I had wanted to do. What could be better for me than having my own creative freedom? It was a hard turning point because I had to give up on a dream. And in a way, I didn't have to. I could have chosen to work really hard to try and become like a CalArts student, to draw and paint the way that CalArt seems to be teaching their students, so I could be like them and I could have a higher chance at getting into a studio in California, a feature studio I mean. So I chose to give up that dream, and when I did make the choice, I wasn't sad about it. Even though that does sound like it could be sad, giving up on a dream, it wasn't, because I had replaced it with another one that I thought was so much better, and I had kind of grown up and grown away from that idea, like I said, that I held up on a pedestal. And it was just such a huge slap of reality for me to see the Disney movie studios in California, and it was so intensely competitive. I suddenly realized that it just wasn't for me. And someone might hear that and say, well, I was just telling myself I wasn't good enough. I guess in a way you could construe that to say that I was saying that, but I am choosing to not feel that way about it. I since then have been much more positive. I've been way more positive about my career aspects, about my own stories, and I have so much more energy to work on my own stories, and I know now that makes me way happier than any other career could. So I definitely learned a big life lesson about when to give up on a dream, and that is when you have a better one to replace it with. So do you guys have any experience with this? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. So our theme for today is a lady pirate, and she will be on a beach looking for something.
Right. So obviously we haven't hammered out the details too much. I tried to, but then Emily pointed out that that's kind of cheating for the purposes of doing like a spontaneous sort of challenge video. So I'm just gonna pull up a timer here, and we'll get to work writing. All right. Are you prepared to